Hey everyone, and welcome to another Armoured Warfare video. Like I talked about in my video on the episode 3 of the campaign, I promised to take a look at the reward tank from this episode, the tank that's only previously been available on the Russian server, and that is the T-72 Victory. Looking to cheapen the construction of their main battle tanks, the Russian military looked to replace the very expensive T-64, which was their primary main battle tank at the time. Originally dubbed the Object 172, trials were undertaken and eventually it was incorporated into the Russian military as the T-72. From there, it's seen combat in many different theatres around the world. It's still used to this day. The combination of decent armour, solid gun, plus being relatively affordable has led to it becoming a staple in many armies around the world as their lead main battle tank. In Armoured Warfare, however, it's in the game as a tier 4 main battle tank. It's extremely similar to the standard T-72 that's already in the game as a progression vehicle, however with a couple of very minor differences. First of which is the paint scheme, which on the Victory is definitely very striking, with messages celebrating the victory in Europe in 1945 and the end of the Second World War. I don't speak any Russian at all, so honestly I have no idea about what any of it says. I do quite like the camo though, it's pretty cool looking. It doesn't have any real practical use. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. Apparently, actually makes it, it gives it better camo stats than the standard T-72, which is quite strange. However, I do actually like it. As I say, it's pretty much a standard T-72 with minor tweaks from there. It's got Texture-Light laminate hull armour with 205mm of frontal armour. It increases up to 460 on the front of the turret, and it makes it one of the strongest armoured main battle tanks of its tier. It's got weak spots just like any other though: lower frontal plate, reasonably exposed turret ring, it's got a machine gun port to the right of the gun, and then obviously pretty much anything down the side and the rear are easily pennable by just about everything. What this does mean though is that if you are smart and you hide your lower front plate and rely on the highly angled frontal plate and the front part of the turret, you're going to be extremely difficult to shift out of that spot, even by higher tiered vehicles, especially when you have a higher amount of hit points, 2265, compared to other main battle tanks in your tier. Used correctly, the T-72 and the Victory can be a real speed bump to the enemy trying to push you, but that armour isn't any good unless you got the gun to back it up, right? Well, the Victory does come with a pretty damn good gun, the 125mm 3BVK7. Its damage per shot is higher than any gun in its tier, 550 with high explosive anti-tank, and also with the armor-piercing, fin-stabilized discarding sabot. Not only does it have fantastic damage, it also has really solid penetration with both the heat and the APFSDS ammo. It's better than anything else in its tier, and it's even competitive at a tier higher than it. It's pretty much a standard Russian vehicle in other gun aspects though, like the -6 degrees of gun depression, meaning that slight rises in the terrain can cause problems bringing the gun to bear on a target. This is though where the Victory gets a few things that are slightly better than the T-72. Slightly lower aim time of 1.98 seconds, which actually is not bad, and a very slightly lower shell deviation of 0.14 degrees, making the gun a tiny bit more accurate. The turret's also very slightly faster to traverse than the standard version 2, allowing you to get that gun on target faster. Put simply, the gun is pretty damn fantastic. It's accurate enough, it's got more than enough penetration to punch through even higher tiered vehicles, especially if you're using its accuracy to be able to land those shots on the weak spots of the enemy vehicle. The vehicle's it's also pretty mobile. 0 to 32 in 5.9 seconds, top speed of 62 km an hour. What does that mean? Well, you have great armour, a decent gun, and the ability to get into position pretty fast to be able to put all that to work, mostly before the enemy team are in position, forcing them to deal with you while you have all your strengths in play. So what do I actually think of the T-72 Victory? Honestly, I think it's a fantastic vehicle. I've had tons of fun playing around with this thing. I love the gun handling, it's really solid. It's accurate enough to be able to put shots down range and hit those weak spots, and then it puts out a decent amount of damage. It really means that this vehicle is a pretty dangerous foe. It's fast enough to move around, even fast enough to get a flank on, being able to put that gun to work. Not to mention it's actually pretty good at firing on the move as well, which means it can maneuver around quickly while also putting the damage out. Honestly, I love it. Play this thing to its strengths and you're going to do well. Keep it either hull down or keep it moving to try and flank enemies with its speed. Just beware, you need fairly flat ground because of that gun depression. I honestly think it's worth finishing both the objectives to be able to get your hands on this thing. It earns well and performs well. It's a really good tank and definitely one that I'm going to be using in the future. So I hope you enjoyed my look at the T-72 Victory, the episode 3 reward vehicle. I've got some really exciting Armoured Warfare content coming in the very near future, but for now, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.